And welcome to today's Zaleski Sports Show. Jason Zaleski, Dan Ross. We've got a big announcement coming today. Magazines all over the place, and our weekly schedule all on today's show.
It's all yours, and it's all now.
All right. Well, here we go. As I said, Jason, Dan, big announcement. We'll save that for a little bit.
I'm excited for it. I don't know what it is.
It's a surprise to you as well, isn't it? Surprise
it is.
to you as well. Let's start with some magazines. Go ahead, Dan, hold up just the first one first. So let's get Sam. So Zaleski Sports Headlines is out and available in most places, either right now or within the next hour or two at the various places. So, yeah, Sam Beslick on the cover. Spencer boys basketball having a really good season. You had said to me a minute ago, if the season ended today, they'd be the 5 seed.
The 5 seed
in their bracket. That's really good.
Best that I remember in recent memory.
Yeah, that's 2 home games to start.
Yeah.
That'd be the 5 seed.
Or one.
Well, yeah, depending on the buys and how it all lines up, I guess. If
they would host the 12 and they'd go to the 4.
If you've got a regional quarter or not.
And 4 would be marathon.
You're letting it all out of the bag here.
Sorry. For those that were on my broadcast last night, I talked about it last night.
It's all going to change in the next month anyway. So
it's true.
But off to a great start,
Yep.
Sam.
Sam Beslick.
Yep, he was our Grassland Butter Athlete of the Month. We partner with Marshfield Area Sports and a friend of the show, Paul Lecker, for that. You get those magazines, let's see here, at Pick and Save, Festival Foods and Chips Hamburgers in Marshfield, Blinker BP, for Spencer at the A&W in Spencer. That's where everybody's going to flock to later on today to pick up right there in Spencer. Make sure Stratford, Senex, and Russell's of Neilsville and Greenwood Quick Trip. I might be leaving one out there somewhere. But anyway, yeah, there's that one.
For those in Wausau that probably have never picked one of these up because not in the area, full color all the way through.
Yeah, full color,
fantastic
shiny,
photos. Yes.
High school sports through and through the whole thing there. Let's Stevens Point. So the Point Panthers boys hockey team undefeated. Dan, they're 14-0 to start the year, and most of the games haven't been close. They just waxed Marshfield 14-0. That was a hockey score. 14-0 last week.
Two touchdown win.
A 2-touchdown win for the Panthers in Marshfield. So you go on road ice, right? Different than home ice, hockey terms.
Is it?
Yeah. Plover Metro Mart, Oso Brewing, Festival Foods, every quick trip you can think of in Stevens Point, Amherst Family Foods, Amherst BP, Iola Amico, Iola Piggly Wiggly, Mosinee Piggly Wiggly, and there's everything about Pacelli, Mosinee, Iola Scandinavia, Amherst, everything you need if you're into high school sports, and that's why you're watching this show.
And a picture of the Spash basketball team.
There they are. Yeah, and they got all dolled up that day too for the picture.
Looks like it.
Yeah, they look nice. Nice looks, ladies. Nice looks. Way to go.
They all look very serious.
Yeah, well, it's a serious team. They are the favorite in the Wisconsin Valley Conference, so you'd like to be
They're the front
serious. Horse. They are the front horse. They may be the only horse, honestly. We'll talk about that as the show goes on.
A tough year in the Valley.
Yeah, and then our Medford-based magazine, we've got Abby Colby Wrestling on the cover. And flip to the front cover, or inside cover, I should say. Who's on the cover? What do we got there?
Owner Jason Zaleski?
No.
What are you talking about? You talking about the...
Right here. No, right here. Who do we have? Cover photo.
Cover photo.
Lift the bifocals.
Matt Jekyll.
Matt Jekyll is on the cover.
Yes.
And you get that at Colby Quick Trip, Abbey County Market. That's where most people will go for Mr. Jekyll, right there in Abbotsford.
Yeah.
Go to the county market. Stutsonville C-Store, Medford County Market, the Torpedo, Thorpe Super Value, and the Withy BP. I know, the Torpedo. It's a great name for a restaurant. And they've got great pie there. I love the pie. But you get all your Medford, Abbey Colby, Owen Withy, Thorpe, all those schools are covered in that one. So 3 different magazines on retail store shelves very soon. If you forgot all the places I told you to pick them up, you just head over to social media, and all those places are listed on there by each magazine.
Yeah, we focus a lot on Zaleski Sports on basketball in the winter because that's what the viewership is.
Well, there's a million games a week, for one.
Yeah. But open open this magazine. There's a lot of swimming in here. There's a lot of wrestling. There's a lot of what
girls hockey.
Yeah. Hockey in general. Things that the sports media landscape would say non-revenue sports. Not that it's revenue in high school, but
That's what they call it.
yeah,
Colloquially known. Is that how you say that word?
probably.
Word of the day. Even though I couldn't say it right, I don't think. It's a tough word for me to say.
No, I think you got it.
All right.
I think you got it.
We'll leave it to the experts to figure that out
Yeah.
later. Yeah, well, and that's to us what the magazine is for. All the non-broadcast sports, really, or most of them. We'll hit on wrestling every once in a while. We did a swim meet last week, but the swimmers will be in there.
It just doesn't take to video as well as basketball does.
Yeah, cross country,
basically.
track and field, all those. So anyway, yeah, we want to get every kid that's working their tails off to get some exposure, and they're free. It's a free magazine.
Yep.
I don't know who decided that. They should be charging for these. Our advertisers pick up the bill.
Yeah, the advertisers are paying for it.
Yeah, so that's how you get it for free. And we love it. Yeah. We want you to have it.
We have the best advertisers around, honestly.
Unbelievable, aren't they? Unbelievable.
They go out of their way, honestly, to help us, but to help the kids, right? Because that's kind of the path it takes.
So let's. You mentioned the seeds, so let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. You told us on a group chat something that happens in a month.
Girls brackets out.
Girls basketball playoff brackets now less than 28 days or something.
I think it's a month from tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, a month anyway. So what that means here at Zaleski Sports is our VIP members get to take their VIP membership, just $5 a month. That's what you pay, right?
$5 a month.
That's not enough either. We probably have to raise the prices on things around here. But you've all been able to follow along. This year, for the first time ever, we've done a top-to-bottom listing of all the seed scores. This is the WI seeding formula that translates into the bracketed placements. And so in the next, probably about 2 weeks from now, we'll have our first release of the girls bracket. And again, those are snapshots, the moment in time, still with games to play. But in 2 weeks' time, there won't, right now, if we put them out, there's going to be a lot of movement yet. But in 2 weeks, that movement...
It's pretty much set. Like one seed up and down, maybe.
Yeah.
Or if there's a group of teams, it really depends.
Yeah, 6, 7, 8, you can get that little glob hanging in there. But if you're not a VIP member, the time is now. Go sign up. The cheat code there is if you only want to do just 1 month, like you can only afford $5.
This is the month.
You're a real George Costanza cheapskate. Yeah, this is it right now. Sign up now. Or maybe you even go for 2 months, but you're going to get all the brackets ahead of time. You get to be the expert at the water cooler at work because you're going to walk in there and tell everybody, hey, I know Spencer's the 5 seed. Well, how do you know that? Well, I'm a Zaleski Sports VIP.
Yeah.
And you're a loser.
And the number 3 is Hurley.
The Hurley Midgets, now known as the North Stars.
North Stars.
Yeah.
Less fun.
Way less fun, but I get it. So brackets, bracket previews are coming out soon, and then a couple days before the actual brackets come out, we put them out, and you get to see those a little bit in advance. So you can do that all on the VIP. You go to ZaleskiSports.com. You pay your $5, and you got the whole world at your fingertips then.
Yeah, we're looking at you, coaches. We know that your time is limited.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty nice to know about where you're at and maybe what that first round looks like.
Yeah, you got to start scouting your first round game. Or maybe you can even scout your first couple if you're pretty sure you're going to win that first one.
Or, 2 or 3 teams that are right around you, send an assistant coach to take film of a game.
Yeah. Cheat code, right? They call that we give you the whole cheat code. So let's talk about the Spencer Rockets boys basketball team, since we've got Sam on the cover there. Yep. So he's on the cover for a reason. You don't get to be the athlete of the month just because of you. It's because your team is pretty good.
Yep. They're having a good season.
Yeah. They just blasted Greenwood 86-25 last week. Slipped past. That's kind of the newspaper headline.
Yep.
Owen Withy 42-41. Cadott, the Hornets stung the Rockets earlier this month.
Cadott's good this year.
Beat them by 3. Cadott is pretty good. But having a real nice season. They're 8-4 on the year, 2-2 in conference. A lot of good conference games coming up. Matter of fact, tomorrow, Spencer, you're hosting the Gilman Pirates.
Okay.
Pirates coming to town.
Yeah. It's really interesting to me that the Clover Belt is so early in the conference season. Mm-hmm. Obviously, pretty much every game the rest of the way, conference to get through the round robin, right? And with looking at the Marywood and the Wisconsin Valley, they've been in conference play for a while now.
Yeah.
So just interesting.
Yeah, how the conference commissioners decide to have their series happen. You'll get to watch the Spencer Rockets on the 21st here on Zaleski Sports, so that's in 6 days. Tuesday next week as the Rockets play an important game at Neillsville.
Yeah.
Neillsville hanging around in conference at 3-2, so a half game ahead of the Rockets at this point. And then Columbus Catholic next week on Friday.
Yeah, it's an interesting conference. Loyal, the cream of the crop this year in
Looks
the
like
conference.
Yep.
But there's 3 or 4 teams that are all bunched together right there.
Yeah, Neillsville 3-2, Colby 2-2, Columbus Catholic 2-2, Spencer 2-2. So, yeah, if you want to hang on to that 5 seed or maybe get a 4, you need to break out of that pack.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how that's going to have to work. So I said tomorrow, Spencer boys host Colby, or host Gilman, sorry, and then on Friday, so they got back-to-back games, Colby. So Gilman and then Colby. So 2 conference games. Gilman sits at 0-4 in conference right now, so you would figure Spencer the favorite there. I know coaches don't think like that, but we can say those kind of things. But then you want to break out of the pack. Here come the Colby Hornets. You got to beat them on Friday if you want to get ahead of them.
Yeah, Colby's sneaky good this year. Probably not as good as we've seen them the last couple years.
Yeah.
But still a solid team.
3-5 on the season. They've only played 8 games.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Somebody told me why that was, but they didn't play the first game until December 2nd. So we're seeing that a lot. A lot of boys teams in particular, because they start that week later, they're just favoring waiting until December to get going.
After Thanksgiving and the holidays.
Because why rush? We got to rush through practice and play a couple games around Thanksgiving, and then we send everybody home for that holiday, go eat and weekend, and then we got to get them back in practice. And so a lot of the boys teams are waiting until December to play.
Yeah, and we talked about the boys brackets, the girls brackets out in a month, the boys a month and a week. So that leaves us maybe 6-7 weeks left, right? And if you only have 8 games played, you're going to get to 24. That's 16 games in 6 weeks.
It's a sprint at this point, especially for the Hornets. They played 3 in December, but that's the other thing, right? So we wait, which is, I get the rationale, and I don't disagree with it. But then Christmas comes. Now we got more waiting, unless you want to travel your team to some tournament somewhere, which the Hornets did not. So they played 3 games in December, and then January 2nd until February 27th, it's a 6-7 week sprint to the finish.
2 or 3 conference games a week.
A week.
Crazy.
So so there we go. And who knows? Maybe we do what we call a pop-up game. Maybe we find a way to do that Colby Spencer game on Friday. Otherwise, we'll see Spencer Colby later in the year, though, too.
I looked at the website last night as I was getting ready to do my game last night. I'm like, it's a square of 4 games by 4 games. We had 16 games last night.
What that's known as, 16. Yeah.
And it wasn't, I don't think we've ever had 16, but 13, 14, 15, I know for sure. And a lot of times that's boy-girls doubleheaders. It didn't look like that yesterday.
There was just one doubleheader last night.
Yeah.
That was it, Wisconsin Rapids Spash. Everybody else was, we were all dispatched. We were all dispatched. And we had 3 guys on the shelf for various reasons, too. So it could have been maybe one more.
There's a lot of yuck going around.
There is. Yeah. And to your point, Dan, I'm reading all these things at ZaleskiSports.com. So you don't have to travel anywhere to figure this stuff out. It's all on the website. We've made some improvements to the website. You get to see a little promo commercial during our games about how to set up a favorite on the website. So I'll break that down for you here, folks. Here's what we do with why the favorites. Geez, I'm clicking all the wrong places here. Because we don't assume you're a fan of every team in the entire state. You can see all that on the website, but generally people follow one team, maybe 2. You set that up on the website, and then you're 1 click away from everything about that team once you land at ZaleskiSports.com.
It's pretty spiffy.
And there are other updates happening, and you just can't update all 8 things at once. You drop one this month, and you drop another update the next month. We've got all kinds of plans. Which costs all kinds of dollars. But we've got all kinds of plans for what this looks like going forward, too. So we are not done by far. So there we go. Okay, mayhem in Marathon, Dan. Fill us in. What happened last night?
Yeah, I had a monster of a game last night. We knew that it was going to be a good game. It doesn't take a scientist to understand that Auburndale at Marathon is going to be a great game no matter what the situation was. But both teams tied for first with Stratford going into the game last night. And it was a double overtime thriller. It really was. And, a lot of times games that go into overtime, one team's up by a lot, the other one comes back. I don't think either team was up by more than 5 or 6 the entire game. Tied constantly. Just a really, really good high school basketball game. And we can't always say that, right?
Yeah.
We appreciate the sport. We appreciate the student athletes. But it's rare that you get a really good game where you walk away from that and you're like, man, that was awesome. And everybody in that gym, even though it was at Marathon and Marathon lost, people were buzzing about the game afterwards.
I mean, how could you not? I mean, the kids played their hearts out. We had a 30-foot runner to send it to one overtime period. We had made free throws with an icing timeout in the middle of them on the other side. I mean, you had it all.
Yeah, really did.
Had it all, Dan. I'm jealous.
I mean, there's a good chance that those teams, they will play in Auburndale at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Or the second to last game of the year, I think it is. But they're in the same half of the sectional. They might see each other a third time. Who knows?
The song goes, didn't we almost have it all? But you had it all.
Yeah, it was. And we talk about this, right? It's really rare that you get to call something that is a potential game winner or a runner from the half court circle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That goes in just to force a second overtime.
I mean, it was at zeros, right?
Yeah.
The shot was launched and then zeros hit.
Yeah, the buzzer went off as the ball was in the air. Yeah.
I've said many times, I've called football walk-offs, baseball, softball walk-offs. I've not had the fortune of a basketball buzzer. I've been on the camera for buzzers at basketball, but I haven't got to call one yet. You got to call, I mean, it was a buzzer beater, not for a winner, but to go to an overtime, and at that point it was mayhem and Marathon.
Yeah, and where we're at, up in the crow's nest a little bit at Marathon High School, and there was no radio last night, which is awesome because we have more room. And I had a great angle at it. We're right where he shot it from is right in front of us, and that thing looked good the entire way. But they do a lot, right?
Yeah.
And talking to Coach Weinfurter after the game, because I asked him, if you can go on YouTube and take a look at this, I asked him the rationale of not fouling, because you're up by 3.
It's an interesting dilemma
with a couple
to be in.
seconds left.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, Coach Weinfurter said that it was a really physical game, and he was not certain that they'd get the rebound on a missed free throw, which is awesome. And he said, what are the odds that kid makes that shot? 1 in 20?
Yeah.
And he hit it. Credit to the kid.
And he hit it, right? Yeah, and he said it too, right? Or he was alluding to it anyway. That works more often at the collegiate and obviously professional level because these people understand every nuance of the game at that point in their life. A high school 16-year-old kid doesn't always understand when you do this, what comes next.
Yeah.
Or if you do this, what could happen, right? The consequences.
My philosophy in high school is you foul because the odds of them even making the first free throw is pretty low.
Well,
especially with it on the line.
There's a lot of reasons. And he did tell you, he admitted to you last night, next time he might do it differently.
Yeah.
He did say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So watch these things.
Yeah. It was a great game. It was a great atmosphere. I'm still pumped about it. It was fun.
Well, you can relive the game through the highlights. They'll be posted a little bit later on Facebook. As a matter of fact, I'll take a check for that. And at any time, gang, you can go on YouTube or the better resource is the Zaleski Sports app on Roku. You can watch that game again and relive all the glory of mayhem in Marathon.
Yeah, I've had random people text me congratulating me on a good call last night. I have no idea who they are or like where they got my phone number from.
Well, that's a danger right there.
It is. And maybe Coach Jacobson, maybe looking at you, I'm not sure. Like I don't care. I will take.
That's a nice compliment, right?
Yeah, I'll take compliments, constructive criticism. I get it all. It's fine.
Early on, my phone number was used as the business phone number because there wasn't another number.
Yeah.
And I've since had to make some alterations to my phone, and now there's a new number for the business and the whole thing. Okay, well, thank you, Dan, for the update. Again, highlights of Marathon Auburndale later on today on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And anytime you can go watch these games back over and over and over, and a lot of people do. Mentioned a girls-boys doubleheader was the only one of the night over in the Wisconsin Valley Conference. And the Spash Panthers beat the Wisconsin Rapids Red Raiders 73-64. It's 36. And so the Stevens Point Panthers girls basketball team sit atop the conference standings. And again, we're looking at ZaleskiSports.com. I don't just know all these things. Marshfield Tigers are at 3-1. I'm not sure though that game's been updated yet. So Spash is 5-0. Sorry. Marshfield 4-1 after the Tigers dismantled the Wausau West Warriors last night in girls basketball action. No, not.
Well, I have a lot of really good things to say about the boys basketball situation in the Valley Conference. All those games are competitive.
Yeah.
For the girls, a little bit less so.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We're talking about the boys here in just a second. The one thing I want to look at on the girls' side of it last night, right there, Dan.
Yeah.
So a 19-1 start through the first quarter for Marshfield. Wausau West girls scored 1 point in the first quarter.
Yeah, and they're in the middle of the pack in the conference.
They are now 3-3.
Yeah.
So they have won 3 times with the tradition of scoring 1 point in the first quarter.
It's at West.
How do you figure that? I know it. I don't know how that all gets assembled, but there it is. 68-34 final score. So Marshfield maintains its second place position at 4-1.
You say Marshfield's record's 4-8?
Overall?
Or was the graphic
I already
wrong?
shut that off. No, that's an overall. Yeah, overall of 4-8.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
Coming in. So now 5-8.
That's a little surprising to me.
They played some. Coach Michaels told us they played some tougher competition in the front end of the schedule. So I see Nina, I see Eau Claire Memorial, and some others, and so they tested themselves.
Yeah, those are big schools.
They are
Oshkosh,
sectional
Hudson.
opponents though too. So
Yep.
you are measuring yourself right away, and as the season progresses, Memorial beat them by 20. Spash beat them by 6 last week, so maybe you
Lakeland.
figure out a way. Yeah, the Wimettes beat the Tigers by 11 the other night too. So
Well, you know what? Credit to the coaching staff and credit to the AD for scheduling that way.
Sure.
Because you could play teams underneath you and have a gaudy record, but your team doesn't really get a lot better doing it.
No, it's a nice little. I'm happy now, but what was really the outcome?
Yeah.
What did you really gain besides being happy? If you want to be happy, you can watch more, Saturday morning cartoons. If you just want to be happy,
It's like a Jaden Awe.
yeah, in the back end of that doubleheader, back to Spash and Wisconsin Rapids. We diverted to Marshfield real quick there. Just talking about girls Valley Conference. Now to the boys side of the Valley. Yeah. So
Most games are competitive in the Valley.
first quarter of the game.
Literally.
We've talked about this with the Rapids Lincoln boys in the past too. We've had this discussion about them on the show before. I think it was against Wausau West. They scored 2 points in the first half, I think. So first quarter, Spash 25, Wisconsin Rapids 2. You managed to score 1 bucket in 1 quarter. I don't understand the process there.
Yeah.
I don't get why that's happening.
Yeah, it's just kind of a down class, maybe, right? Or this can happen, and it's not just big schools. It
does
really
happen.
happens at smaller schools where you just don't have a good group of athletes in that particular sport. And what really is dangerous is when you get back-to-back classes, maybe where you just don't have any like superstars, right? And you play a really good Spash boys team, right?
They're a solid team this year.
Spash, Marshfield. Honestly, besides for Rapids and maybe Merrill and Troy. Troy, before you're on
You're
Facebook,
in danger here, Dan. You're in danger.
I know. It's just tears a little bit, right?
There are.
And if it was a normal Valley Conference year, I bet you Troy's Merrill Blue Jays are going to be right towards the top of that conference. But it's a tough conference this year. It's really good.
Yeah. So final score, Spash 62, Wisconsin Rapids 44. So the Red Raiders found their footing.
And it wasn't that close.
No, it wasn't.
No.
You're able to gain some points there in the fourth quarter, so to speak, and make it look differently. Baraka Makalin was the player of the game last night there. So Spash in the Valley, but again, talking about boys basketball, moved their record to 3-2. At the same time, I happened to call, that wasn't the plan coming in, but I happened to call the Marshfield game last night. Marshfield moves to 4-0. Wausau West drops to 3-2. That's the best I can say about the game.
Okay.
Is one team lost, one team won. Dan, it was 20-10 at halftime. Boys basketball game, it was 20-10. Wausau West only managed 28 points for the entire game, and scored 8 of those 28 in the final 2 minutes. So effectively, they scored 20 points with their starters at Marshfield last night. So some troubles there. Coach Lemons was he was fairly energized before the game. I talked to him, but I doubt that was the case after the game.
Coach Lemons is energized at all times.
I like him.
He is the bunny that like beats the drum.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I actually watched them get beat at home to Everest, which was a little bit surprising, but Everest played really good that night.
Well, somebody dropped 26 on them in the first half.
Yes.
That's tough to come back from. And Coach we talked to Nate about that. I did yesterday, and he had hoped that didn't happen. Hinson or Lee from Marshfield wasn't going to do that against him, and didn't. Right. So think of that, Dan, for a second. So a recap: Marshfield on top, 4-0 in conference. West and Spash are both 3-2. And we'll get to the others here in just a second. You hold the home team. You're on the road. You hold the home team to 20 points in the half. You're probably winning at halftime.
Yeah, you feel good about that.
How do you go in the locker room with 10 on your side and try to tell your guys we're going to get this figured out?
Yeah, and when I watched West, not a lot of superstars, not a lot of size, but they have shooters, right? And they run they run a nice offense. But I didn't watch the game. I don't know if shots just didn't fall. If
they were ice
turnovers.
cold. They were ice cold.
Yeah, and they got cold in the Everest game too. So, that's definitely going to happen. And if you're Coach Lemons, and credit to Coach Lemons in the Everest game, because he made a change defensively, and I think only gave up 3 points to their leading scorer of that game.
Yeah, Felch that
night. So Felch had 26, and then finished with 29.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So
you dam up one spillway, and then hope 3 more don't spring up somewhere else.
It's true. Yeah. But you have to keep plugging away, right? And sometimes shots just aren't falling. You keep shooting them. If they make them in practice, just keep shooting it.
And then, as is the case most nights, we were the Wisconsin Valley Conference broadcast. We're also the Merriwood Conference broadcaster and the Clover Valley Conference. And we're doing 60 games a week. You're going to find most of your conference games are on our network here. We're happy to do it.
What I like is when we get message. I get message on Facebook now also, and they say, "Hey, how come you don't have the marathon at Colby game?" I'm like, "Because it's not on the schedule." And they're like, "Oh, well."
It's hard for them to comprehend that.
Like, why not?
Yeah. You do almost every other night. Why are you guys slipping now?
You'll have to go to Colby and watch it.
Yeah, sometimes you do have to leave your house and go to these games on your own.
Yeah, we don't have all 24 games.
Yeah.
For boys and girls.
Maybe in the future, maybe that can happen. It didn't happen on that particular time.
Yeah.
Shoot, I forgot where I saw a picture. We'll talk about something else. Let's continue.
I got you sidetracked.
Thank you. No, I just forgot where I saw it. I'll remember it soon. So wrap up Wisconsin Valley Conference games on the network. East was was on the bye last 7, right? So
East has been kind of up and down. They started really hot and again,
they got into conference play then. They got into conference play.
This conference is tight.
Yeah.
Marshfield is the best team in the conference. I would say personally probably Spash might be number 2, but man, 2 through 6 is tight in the Valley this year.
Marshfield looks to be the cream of the crop. They have won 3 straight conference championships, have the boys Tigers, and look to be on their way to number 4.
Preseason number 1.
They were the preseason number 1. They have climbed back into the rankings at 19.
Okay.
And again, these are not opinions; these are mathematical seed formula rankings. The Warriors came in as 23rd.
Yeah.
That won't last now. Not scoring 10.5.
Yeah. If the rankings were based on preference, Marshfield would be number 1 in Jason's heart forever.
Well, they are number 1 in my heart.
I know.
Yeah. I got my hair did earlier today, and I'll just say it. I hope I don't get him in trouble because he was skipping school. It looked like, but Marshfield's Brooks Hinson was in the shop getting his hair figured out.
He's
as well.
got the same haircut.
Yeah, but kinda. It's an off day, so we like to go in on the off days and get that kind of maintenance done.
I got my hair did up yesterday. Actually.
Yeah, perfect. All right, looking sharp, looking sharp. And the other game on Everest and Merrill. So DC Everest and Merrill over in Schofield. Friend of the show, Paul J. Glinski, was in the stripes last night over in Schofield.
Was he the fattest guy on the court?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Everest Merrill, it was a 1-point game with 2 minutes left. Merrill had made a comeback. They were down by 6 or 7, had come back to bring it within 1, and then Everest closed it out. A couple made shots, and then the free throw parade, and they made nearly every free throw. I think it ended up in an 8-point situation at the end. So Merrill goes to 1-3 in conference. Everest right in the middle of the pack now at 2-2 in conference. But Merrill in East being the smaller schools. Matter of fact, Merrill is jettisoning themselves for the GNC next year.
And probably better for Merrill, I would say.
Yeah, well, because enrollments continue to go down, especially the smaller the school you are. We've covered this many times. But yeah, Coach Troy Pieper's squad put up a great fight last night at DC Everest, is what I'll say. But congrats to the Evergreens for pulling out the win. And you all got to see that on the network last night.
You could go to any random Boys Valley game, and you'll get a good game. Rapids struggling this year, and Marshfield is again at the very top. But if you have a Valley Conference game between anybody else, yeah, it's going to be a good game.
Okay. Thank you for that, Dan. So we will leave the Wisconsin Valley Conference now, and we'll keep with basketball.
Clover Belt.
Right? Yeah, what do you say? We head over to the Clover Belt for a second. We had a huge accomplishment last night. Just huge. Let's see. We'll cover me up. I'm the guy that I'm the. There we go. Greenwood girls basketball. Tyson Lindner. They are pictured with Coach Trevor Wietrich. 1,000 career rebounds. And notched that rebounds. Wow. Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
I was there last year. I shot highlights when she broke the school record for rebounds. It was 860, 867, something like that. So that was last year, and another 140 rebounds since then in the last 12 months.
Yeah, I'm doing the quick math in my head, and I mean, if you play 4 years of varsity basketball. And Greenwood doesn't really make long, deep tournament runs where you get a lot of bonus games.
Haven't, no. Yeah.
That's 10 rebounds a game if you play 25 games a year.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum, right? And some are going to be less. So sometimes she's pulling down 20 in a game.
Yeah.
Fantastic basketball player. Congratulations, Tyson. We've got the Greenwood girls basketball team on the network on Monday coming up. So our very own Joe Anderson will talk to Tyson after the game no matter what. And they're going to talk about rebounding.
Yeah, and Greenwood is kind of on the up and coming a little bit for multiple sports, it seems.
Yeah, well, especially the girls basketball. They played Pittsville in a regional final last year. She'd mentioned some of the stunted playoff runs, but won 2 games to get to the regional final last year, and has a good season underway again this year. Let's head back to ZaleskiSports.com. Let's talk some Clover Belt basketball for a second.
Yeah, and the football team I think was good last year, right?
A couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago.
Yep. Yeah, the co-op now with Loyal.
It all blurs together.
It really does, doesn't it? It really does. So we take a look. 6-5 or 7-5 now. I think that's a little off. Believe the Greenwood Indians are 7-5. They're now 4-3 in conference. They are. Everybody's chasing second place in the Clover Belt on the girls' side. Neelsville will again. It looks like run away with it again this year. They are undefeated in conference. So everybody. It's chasing Owen Withey, the Blackhawks.
Owen Withey's pretty good this year.
They made a sectional final last year, and they are 5-1 right now and having their way with a lot of the conference teams. Columbus Catholic, Dan, speaking of Greenwood, beat Greenwood last week on Thursday-ish, 40-39. Now here's what happened. 2 seconds left in the game. Columbus is losing by 2, and Greenwood commits a foul, and they send a freshman, Columbus does, to the free throw line, down by 1. She cans them both to win the game with 2 seconds left, with an icing timeout in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Greenwood having a great year. Let's not stray too far from it.
Yeah. I mean, could I step to a free throw line and make 2 free throws? No. No chance. In my prime, I couldn't. Probably.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure. So maybe a freshman doesn't understand the pressure yet. Maybe that's
Could
why.
be.
But so again, Tyson Linder, congratulations. Now, and I'm sure she pulled down a few more, so well over 1,000
Congratulations.
rebounds. Amazing. Just an amazing accomplishment with that. And again, we will see you on Monday. Joe Anderson will be there to call the Greenwood girls game on Monday. So there you go. Neilsville, Owen Withy, and then just a jumble of 3 and 3s after that.
Yeah, when I saw the 1,000, I'm like, 1,000-point score. That's nice. Like,
Way to go, Zaleski. We got plenty of those.
1,000 rebounds. That's something.
That's crazy. Crazy is what it is, right? Okay. We mentioned just a little bit before talking about Spencer, but again, on the Clover Belt side, Loyal, undefeated. So I was about to say running away with it. That hasn't been the case yet, but well on their way. The Hounds are. And you can watch a lot of Hounds boys basketball here on this network as well.
Yeah, they are. Their seed score is like second in the state or something. Like it's really good.
It's really good. Yeah. They were ranked 1 for a little bit, but they in what was it? Sheboygan Lutheran, I think, is the one. But very very close. They're at the top. It won't be in the same section, so the Hounds looking for a 1 seed and well on their way.
Should be okay.
Yeah, should be okay. Should be safe. Okay, we started with you and Merriwood basketball. So again, Auburndale moves to 6-1 in conference. Marathon falls to 5-2. But think about that for a second. Marathon, fresh off a state tournament berth last year, but most of those guys gone now, off to college or working at the hardware store or something. But here they are, 5-2, right near the top.
Yeah, and I was talking to Jason Jaglinski and Coach Paltz and a couple others, and I have a lot of admiration for Coach Jacobson over at Marathon. I think he's a fantastic coach, and I said to the group that most coaches would be a sub 500 team, maybe 500 team with this roster. Only bring back 2 kids that contributed last year. And everybody else was on the JV team or they were bench players, like deep bench players.
Yeah.
And he has a team playing really well. And last night was probably the best game that they played. Credit to Auburndale. They're an awesome team this year. And we're going to see them Friday.
Well, I'm going to talk about that to you soon. You mentioned some of those bench players that are now contributors this year at Marathon.
Major contributors.
We did all access with the Red Raiders last year. Yes. And some of those kids, in the locker room, those scenes that were filmed there, they were off in the corner spinning in circles, right?
I know it.
They weren't involved.
Yeah.
Right? So they were just back there goofing off, and now here they are having to take Auburndale to double overtime.
Yeah, I mean, those players that were averaging 2 or 3 minutes a game last year are playing 20, 25 minutes a game this year.
Good for them.
And big jump, and, as a coach, you need to coach your team for what you're good at, right? And it changes year to year. Jacobson has a much different team this year than what he had, obviously, the last 2 years with Grant Warren. Marathon doesn't have any size, right? Drew Wolfel, maybe pushes 6 feet.
5'10", just like that in the team photo, 5'10".
Yeah, Marathon has 10 kids that are the exact same player for the most part. So it's been different, right? And it's been fun to cover.
I mentioned we're somewhat of a conference broadcast outlet, and in the Merriwood last night, boys basketball, we had number 8 Stratford hosting the Assumption Royals. 22-point win for the Tigers last night as they continue to push to keep up with the Auburndale Eagles, which brings us, Dan, this is called a segue.
Yeah.
Stratford at Auburndale on Friday. It's our Zaleski Sports Game of the Week.
And we're going to be there.
Yeah, well, that's why it's the Game of the Week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The teams don't matter. It's when Ross and Zaleski show up. It's just Game
true.
of the Week.
Yeah, I mean,
but it'd be a good one, though.
It's a big game. In that sectional, Stratford's the 1, Auburndale's the 2, right? And it's the first of 2 times they meet this year.
Both 6-1 in conference. I had proclaimed a few weeks ago they'd be undefeated coming into this game, and they both promptly lost their very next game.
And it's the only games they've lost.
Yeah.
Both teams coming in at 10-1, 11-1, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a banger, as the kids say.
It will be a banger.
Yeah.
I like the coach matchup there too.
Yep.
You got to talk to Coach Weinfurter last night. I've got a high opinion of Coach Schmidt. Different coaching styles. And so, but the coach matchup there is pretty interesting as well, I think.
Yeah. And you know what? There are no secrets in the Mirrorwood South.
No.
Right?
Well, those two are combined in the conference like 40 years. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no secrets.
Yeah. No secrets at all. And it's not a conference that has a ton of coaching turnover. I know Paltz has been there for 3-4 years. Edgar's kind of in transition still. But for the most part, Marathon, Auburndale, Stratford, it's the same guys, right? Running very similar plays year after year.
Similarly shaped and sized guys, right? That's
true.
I think also what you're saying.
It's true.
I got to take off my shoe for the big announcement, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't smell too much. Got to freshen up a little bit of salt on the toe there. So there. So we put that there. We bring that logo on like that. Dame Lillard shoes, Milwaukee
Oh,
Bucks,
okay.
NBA basketball player. Everybody knows what a huge NBA fan I am.
Right.
Here I am now. I was there for Game 6 of the Bucks championship a few years ago. And
Were you at the game or were you in the
I was at
the
Skeeter
mob
Notices.
outside?
I was
Oh,
at
okay.
Skeeter Notices,
Okay.
which was a great place to watch the game. We had such a fun time that night over at S&O's. You've been there a number of times. Yeah.
For sure. We threw bags there. We lost a lot of
We
games.
threw the bags.
Yeah, we lost a lot of games there this summer.
We threw the bags. Well, we won some, but we lost. We threw the bags. The Zaleski Sports and Milwaukee Bucks are partnering here in a few weeks to bring basketball games from the Fiserv around the state, and we've got a 5-game lineup. I'm just going to say, I mean, I don't brag a whole lot. I don't think. Maybe sometimes I do, but we were selected. The Milwaukee Bucks called us and said, "We got to have you, Zaleski Sports. We are infatuated with what you do, just like the rest of the state is, and we got to have you at these games. Can you please come here and help us out?"
When they called,
Yeah.
did it come in as spam and go to voicemail?
No, it came in as Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I thought, I better answer this one. No, it was Jill from the Milwaukee Bucks got a hold of us, and we've been working. Well, I'll tell you, we've been working with Jill, and we've been working with Cassie for the last
Awesome.
couple weeks to get this thing all hammered out here.
The Deer District, that's what it is.
Yeah. So okay. So right, this is the Deer District Prep Showcase, and this all happens on February 8th. That's a Saturday. Kohler and Lake Mills.
Oh, these are good games.
I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
we are very honored to be selected by the Milwaukee Bucks. So much so, I take off my shoe for them.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Hortonville and Oconomowoc, Racine Park and Milwaukee Juneau, Stevens Point and Sun Prairie East, and Kettle Moraine and Nicolay. Got 10 of the finest boys basketball programs in the state.
Yeah.
And 5 games. All the action on February 8th starts at 10 a.m. Keep track of the schedule at zaleskisports.com.
Is Mark Miller's name on this?
It is not.
And if it
Nope.
not he's jealous, I guarantee.
We are co-hosting, if you want to say it like that, with the Wilson brothers at Wiz Sports.
Okay.
And a matter of fact, Travis and I will be on an interview together here in a couple weeks, and you'll find that talk right on all the regular channels that you all listen to, watch all the time.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Travis Wilson.
And we are a friend of of what they do.
Huge.
Yeah.
Can I talk about that for a minute? Okay. So Dan's really been the one that has said it more eloquently and succinctly than I have been able to. We don't realize in Wisconsin, with Wiz Sports and with what we do and a couple others as well, how good we have it at the high school level. You have said that.
Yes.
And you've given some explanation to it. I'll save the explanation. I'll just tell you that's it. That's the sentence, period. We don't know how good that we have it. I had the pleasure and the honor of broadcasting a couple of games in Alabama last week. Some things ongoing there. And Dan, I could not find rosters, schedules, records. There was nowhere in Alabama to find these things in one place. I had to contact coaches and schools, and I'm spending a lot of time with sports. Thank you, because you make our jobs a whole lot easier. And fans of high school sports, because of what we have in this state, the fans are able to be fans in a better way.
Spoiled. And,
Totally spoiled.
I don't really want to talk about like back in our day, right? But when we were in high school,
Yeah.
We had no idea what the standings were. Like, our coach knew because they would, like, call other coaches.
Yeah.
But, like, hey, what was the score of your game? What's your
They
record?
would write it on a notebook.
Yeah.
Each coach.
And
Yeah.
there was no way of knowing. Like, let alone trying to trade film, and you're literally mailing
They were
VHS tapes.
VHS, the big
Yeah.
rectangular plastic cases.
So we would win or lose a conference game, and then we would have no idea at all what place we were in until like coach told us before the next game or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
Yep.
Let alone anybody else in the state, right? And imagine as a coach watching this, not having any idea what anybody's record is in your sectional.
Yeah.
And they weren't seeded. Like, it literally came out the summer before what the bracket was for all the sports, right? So it doesn't matter. My senior year, we had a really good team up in Lakeland. And our second round game, we traveled to Northern Pines, who was winless.
Yeah.
Because it was like random draw or like a rotation of some sort,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similar to ping pong balls, I guess.
Yeah. So I don't want to call us spoiled because we're not spoiled. But yeah, once you get outside of Wisconsin, it is really, really bare bones. And, you know, you hear a lot of things, and it's really expensive to have something like this, right? And to upkeep it.
Very expensive, folks.
Very expensive. And if something happened where Wis Sports was no longer a thing, we would really be in bad shape as fans of high school sports.
So a couple of the visiting coaches I had talked to last week, my venture down south, is, oh yeah, our roster's on Max Preps. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
So I go there, and there are 60 names in the roster. There are 5 zeros, 5 ones, 5 twos, 5 threes, because nobody is maintaining year after year those names and numbers. So that didn't help. A couple of them were very gracious and sent me the actual rosters. But just something as simple as getting a roster, which we all take for granted here because of Wis Sports.
Yeah. And as fans, how would you know like what place your team's in?
They don't.
No idea.
They don't. And I, as a broadcaster, didn't.
Yeah.
So 4 games I did last week. I have no idea what place these teams are in. I guess I knew their overall record. They do it a little differently. They have areas instead of conferences. So they've got area teams they play against. So the format's a little different.
Sure.
But
especially with no newspapers anymore, right? Because the journalists would actually do research and like put the standings in the local papers.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
So all to be said, Dan is right. Whatever Dan says, listen to him all day long. I'm sure you get that a lot.
No, actually no.
Actually, no. All right. Let's see. Let's look ahead. Thursday, Friday. Actually, let's do it backwards a little bit. Wednesday's a little easier to explain, as it turns out. That's just because so many games. And again, just ZaleskiSports.com. You click on the days. It shows you all the games. It's so incredibly easy. It's going backwards. Saturday. We got hockey on Saturday. Hockey night. 7 o'clock start over at the Willett, just up the road here.
Fight night.
Fight night, yep. Spash, and they're taking on the University School of Milwaukee. They're taking on some college kids. It's a high school. It's a high school.
This is why I don't do hockey games, right?
Okay.
Because it would be a lot of fight night as we come in.
Here's what I want to know, Dan. Even at the high school level in hockey, all the kids have hockey names. They all have 14 consonant, a Y, and a European name. How does that happen? How do those kids not play the other sports and they only play hockey?
Because you're born into it. They only play hockey and soccer, right?
I guess, yeah. Okay, Waterford at Sussex Hamilton and Germantown at West Allis Central. That is rewind that. Waterford and Sussex Hamilton, Germantown and West Allis Central. That's at the Brookfield Central get-together. That all starts at 4:30 with Matt and Elijah on the call there. Mike Wendlandt on the hockey call. Mike is our hockey guy here. That's what he does.
Kick save and a beauty.
I've said that before, yeah. We've mentioned a couple of the games. On the girls' side tomorrow, Dan, we've got a good one. It's number 21 Stratford, number 13 Auburndale. Auburndale,
that is a good game.
Yeah, it is. Auburndale's been a little shaky against the good teams, and they've plowed through the others. So this is an interesting game. Mike Steinwagner on the call, 7:15 tip in Auburndale if you want to go to the game. Number 1 Assumption Catholic is on the network tomorrow on the girls' side as well. And on the boys' side, we get our first look at Iola Scandinavia here on the network anyway.
Very good team this year.
I've been told 100 times, and T-Bird fans, you get what you ask for. The Amherst Falcons come into town. Falcons and T-Birds, 15th-ranked Iola Scandinavia Ball Club. Jack Rosicki is on the call there.
The bad news for Iola boys basketball fans is that you moved half sectionals. So instead of being with the Stratford Marathon group, an Auburndale
the Fox Valley group.
Now you go over and you get Bonduelle.
Yeah, Bonduelle Bears are the number 1 team in the land.
And rightfully so.
And rightfully so. And then on the boys' side, number 15, Pacelli, will go over to Port Edwards and win by 50 and come back home.
It'll be a quick night for
What
them.
am I going to say?
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to the people, Dan. I'm the modern-day Abe Lincoln. I can only tell the truth.
Yeah, Pacelli's good. They have a really solid team this year.
Yeah. Brandon Bierencott on the call over at Port tomorrow. And that is a 5:45 tip. Oh, I'm sorry. It is a 7:15 tip. We do the JV for the Pacelli.
Okay.
I'm like, what am I missing here? Yep, so all 7:15 varsity tips tomorrow on Thursday. Dan and I mentioned number 8 Stratford at number 11 Auburndale. That's our game of the week for the week. You can also watch number 7 Eau Claire Memorial take on Menominee on Friday. Other ranked teams in action on the network. On the girls' side, number 12 Lakeland and number 18 Mosinee. So let's pause there. And your T-Birds heading into Mosinee.
Yeah, Lakeland has a really good team. A little one-dimensional, right? And that's just kind of how it is. But I think that the pressure that Lakeland, the full court pressure that Lakeland plays with, is going to give Mosinee some issue.
Okay, and then on the girls' side, this is a 6 p.m. tip because there's no JV. On the girls' side, number 4 Pacelli will beat Port Edwards by 60, and then everybody will go home after that. So at least you're back home in bed by 8.
It's true.
Or whatever you're going to do.
And for the 2 teams, it's close, right?
Yeah, it's not that far. You take the beeline over and you land right down here, and then you drive up to Pacelli. It's no problem at all. So there are many other games. I give you just the ranked teams at this point. These are the ones that are making all the buzz in the area. So do we have a Merriwood Minute?
Yeah, I got something for you.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, we're going to have a furious finish here as we'll bring in Dan Ross for this week's Merriwood Minute, brought to you by Mid-State Technical College.
Hold on, let me find it.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was.
All right.
We were getting. Yeah. Rock and roll. Fire away.
And we're back.
Yeah.
That's for you.
Thank you.
Jason brought the cold weather back with him from Florida and Alabama.
Yeah, it was 5 below in my car at 8 a.m. this morning.
Yeah. Monday's a holiday for most of us.
Yeah.
I think the high temperature is -12 on Monday.
That sounds right for a holiday.
It's terrible.
Sounds right.
All right, so nice of you to come back and enable us to do the show once again. To remember the little guys.
I made offers, but we didn't want to do it remotely. Hey, we've got 8 games on a holiday, so I don't know what that holiday is.
It's true.
Okay.
All right, so it's been a while since we had a Merriwood Minute. So,
been a couple weeks.
Real quick recap. We're not going to get real deep into it this week. All right, girls' side, story is still the Assumption Royals. They were upset at home since we talked last by Pacelli.
A little bit depleted Assumption team.
It was.
Yeah.
There's the yuck is going around the team there. Yeah. And Pacelli is quite good this year.
Congratulations, Cardinals.
Yeah, so that is a game that I'm looking forward to in the playoffs.
I think we can plan on it.
Yeah. Their conference winning streak is 27. And that's incredible.
What? The rest of the conference, what are you doing? What are you doing? You got beat 27 straight times, and there's going to be a few more. They're going to run that to 30 plus, I'm sure.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Do you remember their last loss? Because we were there.
You and I were there?
We were there.
Well, it must have been against Newman then.
No, it was at Athens.
Oh,
you had me dragging the camera all over the place.
Yeah, we did a big production for that game. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
February 2023.
Man,
it's been 2 years.
A long time ago.
Yeah. Stratford lost 3 straight. They were undefeated. Lost 3 straight. They got back on the winning side Friday at Abbotsford. So we talked about Auburndale, Stratford. Stratford looked great. Got tripped up by Assumption and lost a couple more, but it'd be a good game between Stratford and Auburndale.
Yeah, both teams want to win. I think Stratford knows what they have. First-year coach Josh Nagel still somewhat figuring it out over there.
It's still a young team over there, too.
It is a young team. Most are juniors, a couple sophomores, probably some freshmen, too. I don't know if there's many seniors, if any at all, and I'm sure I've offended somebody if there is. like I said earlier, they're beating the bad teams and losing to the good teams, and that's a team that's still figuring out.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
North side, Phillips leads Prentice by a game, but the Loggers still have to go to the pirate ship yet.
Yeah, tough one.
Yeah. Similar to past years, you got two good teams. Everybody else is trying to find themselves as we go. The South and the North, there's a pretty big gap there.
The Redmen girls still a high-scoring outfit, or is that kind of leveled off?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
they're in third.
Figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Power rankings.
Having a good time.
Power rankings.
That'll explain it.
All right. Do you want bottom up or top down?
Bottom up.
All right. Number 12.
I already know who's number one. So.
Number 12. Newman Catholic, 1-9.
Yeah.
Tough season.
Yeah.
Number 2. Schwamigan, still kicking this year.
What? We turned the calendar and they're still playing.
2-10.
Way to go, Eagles. Way to go. That's the kind of stick-to-itiveness I like.
Yeah.
Compared to last year.
For those that don't know, and this even goes back to when I was coaching at Newman, you hope that you schedule them later in the year because then you would have a bye week later. because they just don't have enough kids.
Yeah, the team would fold or they would decide to fold. Yeah.
10, Abbotsford. 9, Athens. All 2-9 teams. Edgar at 8, 6 and 10. They're playing a little bit better.
Perked up a little bit.
Yeah,
Wildcats
a little bit
have.
better.
Yeah.
7 is Rib Lake. They're 7 and 6.
Okay.
6.
All right. Winning record.
Yep. 6, the Buccaneers.
Okay.
Apprentice.
Yep.
5, I have Marathon at 10 and 2. Right, so that
Jeff
tells
Snyder
you
right there. Coach Snyder's got him
that
working.
tells you about what the top 5 looks like.
Yeah, we get into this next tier then at that point. Tier 2 as it is.
Yeah. Marathon, a gritty team. They win games. Right?
Yeah, they don't have the conference player of the year on the team or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? But they play as a team.
Yeah. Really a step below Assumption, Auburndale, Stratford. Right?
Yeah.
4 is Phillips. They're 10 and 2.
Okay.
They're on top in the North. 3, I have Auburndale at 11 and 2.
Yeah, I agree with that.
2, Stratford, 10 and 3. And then 1 is Assumption, who's 10 and 1. And the number 2 team in the state now, I think. But yeah.
Okay.
All right, boys side, real quick. I'll give credit where credit's due. Right? It's been a really fun season. Some upsets, some close games. Covering this, the boys Marywood South is a treat for the most part, right?
Yeah.
It's really good basketball.
Yep.
It makes driving across the area in sub-zero temperatures almost worth it.
On the alphabet roads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so my question to you is this.
All right.
Is there anything worse than getting out of your car and it's 5 below zero with the wind chill and having a 2 or 3 minute walk to that field house or from the field house back to your car?
It's tough, right?
Like wind in your face, right?
Yeah.
And my question to you is who are the biggest, what's the best way to say this? Who contributes the most to this pain, right? Who has the worst walk from your car to the field house in the cold?
Wausau West is a long walk from their parking lot to the front door. That's one that sticks out in my mind right away.
Auburndale can be kind of tough too because
not quite as long a walk. Neilsville is a long walk.
Neilsville's
from
rough.
their parking lot to the door, and you're walking north.
Yeah.
So if the wind is coming in, that your way in, that's a tough
Marathon
one.
last night wasn't good. And if you don't get there early enough, you have to park in like the cheese factory.
You got to go to the cheese factory, yeah.
And that's brutal. Right?
Yeah, those are the two that come to mind right away in central Wisconsin.
And like you don't notice it until you're in that moment and you're like, I don't want to walk this. Like maybe I just don't go. The wind chill's 25 below and I have to walk 2 or 3 minutes with the wind in your face and you get inside and your glasses are fogged up and like your ears are like numb and your fingers. It's rough.
One other that comes to mind is Neenah, but I haven't been to the new school yet. This is the second year, so I haven't been to the new school in Neenah yet. But that could have been in the running before.
It's just one of these things that I think about when I got out of my car and I'm like, oh, it's cold and like it's so far away.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. All right, so we're not going to talk much about the South because we talked about it about quite a bit.
All right.
I will say, tune in Friday. We're going to have a good time with it. But it really is 2 of the best small school teams in the area, if not the state.
It's the best small school conference in the state. So you've got the top 2 teams. I suppose that means it is.
Yeah. The other thing that I'll bring up about the game last night that we didn't touch on.
Okay.
At the end of regulation, Weinfurter stepped up, hit 2 free throws.
Yep. Young
Right.
Peyton. Is he a sophomore?
I think he's a sophomore.
Yeah.
I asked him.
I think
Sophomore,
so.
junior.
I think so.
Yeah, I think he's a sophomore. A really stoic kid, right? He sat there, just straight faced, and just answered the questions. Yes, sir. I'm like, okay,
Got a fine
Awesome.
career in the military coming up, Peyton.
awesome.
Yeah.
And the Marathon fans were kind of giving it to the Auburndale fans when Marathon led by 2 with 5 seconds left. Had to go to the full court, right? And a blunder on Marathon's side. Not the first time that this exact situation's happened. So Weinfurter makes the 2 free throws. And then the Auburndale fans got rowdy, right? And there might have been 1 or 2 people walked out. Like it was getting confrontational.
Well, that's too bad. They missed a great ending, so that's too bad for them.
Confrontational, and that's even before like the 40-foot runner went in, right? And then the Marathon fans, crazy, and for 5 minutes after that, there was just a buzz in the gym, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, holy S, this happened, right?
Yeah.
And like even the Auburndale fans are like cheering about it, right? Like they wanted their team to win, but like, oh my gosh, what just happened?
How could you not applaud the kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to the north,
Except for the 2 that got evicted. Yeah.
yeah, like standing up, yelling at like each other. I'm like, what in the world? You know, passion. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, in the north, Rib Lake beat Phillips by 2 in their last game. That's a big game.
That's
So
a big one.
So Rib Lake is up by a game or a game and a half, or whatever it is. Prentice is also right up in that conversation, and they still have to play each other a lot yet. Prentice beat Rib Lake. It's Rib Lake's only conference loss.
Okay.
Now Rib Lake,
And they play again.
yes.
Yeah.
Phillips Prentice Friday. That's a big game. Rib Lake hasn't played most of the top teams in the South yet. Rib Lake went into Marathon and beat them, but they haven't played Stratford or Auburndale yet. So, so there's some built-in losses for each team. So it's going to be close.
All right.
Power rankings.
All right. Let's have them. Bottom to top, please.
The Cardinals 2-10.
Yeah. Boy, both Newman schools on the bottom, huh?
Yeah. Newman actually went in and beat Phillips. Phillips, yeah, and shocking.
Okay.
Right.
Signature win.
Yeah. So Newman is a team that has 2 really good scorers, and they could beat anybody, right? Both kids can go off. Piffner and Fender can each score 30 on any given night. And maybe they both score 30 in the same night, and they beat a Stratford or Auburndale. It's possible. And then they could also lose to anybody.
And have lost to a lot of anybody.
They've lost 10 times.
Yeah.
They're 2-10. Yeah. Athens is 1-9. They're ahead of them because Athens beat Newman. And head-to-head matters in fake lists like this.
Fake lists, right? Opinions. Opinions, right.
10 is Park Falls, the Chequamegon Eagles, 3-9. Right. Abbotsford, 4-6. Edgar, 5-7.
Football team.
I didn't say it this time. 7, I have the Assumption Royals at 4-9.
Who could debate it?
Yeah, they beat Edgar, so they belong there.
Only debating Manning could debate that.
That's a pretty good commercial.
That's debatable.
High tide, high tide. 6 is Phillips.
Okay.
Prentice, 5, 7-3. So we got Phillips, Prentice, and then I have Marathon at 4.
Okay.
Behind Rib Lake, because Rib Lake beat them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Rib Lake is number 3.
Yeah.
And I have 1A and 1B.
Well, that's going to get sorted out on Friday night.
It is. Spoiler alert, next Monday, the winner of that game is number 1.
Okay. Stratford Auburndale.
1A, 1B, both 11-1.
Game of the week, 7:15 tip.
2 11-1 teams.
Yeah, that's pretty nice, huh?
Could have been 12-0.
Let's see. From the Arrows and Admissions Department, Dan, the seed scores do show Assumption Girls as number 1.
Back in number 1.
Yeah, they're ahead of the Space Ponies by decimal dust, but they are ahead.
Yeah.
Right? It's a rounding situation there that puts Assumption just ahead of the Space Ponies.
So what's interesting is Albany Monticello, they just had a really big win against, let me see, somebody really good in their conference.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a Schulzberg or it was someone really good.
All right. Well, okay.
Defending state champs.
The Space Ponies, defending state champs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all saw it. We were all watching. Let's see. A couple things for me, and then you're going to bring it home with the gold ball there.
Hey.
So number one is we've our popcorn bracket.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. Right, we're spitballing this right.
I was
in front
also
of you.
thinking about this on the way, so I'm excited
Spitballing this
about
right in front of you. So I think where we've landed is 16 schools.
Okay.
Okay. The bracket will get posted on Saturday for the first time.
Okay.
Okay. So Dan and I will work offline on who the 16
We have to do something during the
schools
game
are.
on Friday.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll release it Friday during the game.
Okay.
Another reason to watch the game of the week at Auburndale on Friday.
Someone asked me about this, by the way.
The popcorn bracket?
Yes.
Okay. I had a lengthy discussion last night about the popcorn bracket.
Okay.
Anyway, so 16 teams. We plan to finish it by the end of the boys' regular season because Dan and I need to get to all 16 of these schools to have that happen. What we had last night is for the 8 seed, we had a play-in game last night.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, you know about this.
I do know about this.
I have had I've had commentary last couple of years on the Marshfield basketball popcorn.
You have opinions on this. Yes.
I do, and they are strong and they are accurate. And one of the rules in our popcorn brackets is you have to pop your own popcorn right there in the gym. Now that sounds like crazy,
It seems
right?
common sense, yeah.
I mean, people are out there like, what? How would you not pop your own popcorn? Well, the Marshfield boys basketball team doesn't pop their own popcorn.
Well, they do, right?
No, they don't. They purchase it from another business in town. They
Yikes.
purchase the popcorn, right?
Okay.
And then they bring it in a plastic garbage bag, and they. I'm just telling you what I saw last night. I'm the modern day Abe Lincoln. I cannot tell a lie. They set it down at the end of the table, and then every now and then fill up the paper bags with the popcorn that's in the plastic garbage sack at the end of the table. So that's one of the play-in teams. The play-in popcorns, okay? Just telling you, right? And then I
have had it. It's not very good.
Okay. So 24 hours prior, I walk into that same gym, and it's Marshfield girls basketball. And my nose immediately alerts me to fresh popped popcorn. I'm like, what is going on here? This is not the case here.
Yeah.
Well, here's what happened, Dan. The girls basketball team heard me talking about this popcorn, and so we're going to make a difference in one man's life. We are going to purchase a popcorn popping machine, and we do not share it with the boys or any other team at school. It is just ours. They do. They take it back home with them at the end of the night. They load it into some big cargo van at the end of the night and take it to the storage facility, wherever you store popcorn popping machines. And so they are popping their own very fresh, very tasty, hot popcorn.
Yeah, the hot popcorn makes a difference.
So in talking to the parents who are in charge of the boys basketball booster club last night, we finally came to some sort of understanding at the end because they dispute the quality of their popcorn. They think it's very good.
Yeah, they have the Marshfield Tiger shaded glasses on, though.
Yeah, orange-colored glasses.
Yeah, the orange stripes.
And the popcorn is cold. It's popped in the morning. The game's at 7, right? It's cold popcorn. So,
I mean, I get it. If you're going to have 2,000 people there, like, I understand.
Yeah, one less thing to have to worry about, right?
Yeah.
Let's just get this huge 32-gallon leaf bag and put popcorn in it, leaf and lawn carrier bag. So so that's our play-in game, right?
Yeah.
And the obvious winner.
It doesn't seem like it's a close game.
So in as the 8 seed, the Marshfield girls basketball booster club program or popcorn.
Yeah, and the Marshfield boys failed to make the tournament this year.
Did not make the tournament.
We don't even know what 16 teams are in it, but we know that's not one of them.
For sure not one. They would be one. You think of now they're in the play-in game, so we'll just leave it at that.
Sure.
You got to the play-in game, but you are not in the tournament because a tournament qualifications stipulate you must pop your own popcorn.
I like
it's a
it.
stipulation, right? And the other part of that stipulation is I've been to a couple gyms where they've had the microwave popcorn. That's not popping your own popcorn.
No, you have to have like you need the glass case. Yeah. It has the red top
got
on
the scoop
it.
And the little pot spills over and like that. You got to have that.
Yeah.
Most do, as it all turns out. Now, I got to say this. If we had a walking taco bracket, then the Marshfield boys are probably going to win that tournament because I had a fantastic walking taco last night.
Well, next year we'll do...
Is that what they're called? In the little Doritos bag with the thing? Okay.
Next year we'll do like specialty foods.
Okay.
Right? Because
pretzels with cheese.
Because every school has their thing.
They do.
Right? And usually popcorn's not your thing.
Yeah, Anago's got potatoes.
Yeah. It's interesting.
But yeah, but like nachos, potato. Anyway, okay, so we'll release the bracket on Friday, and then obviously I say we, right? Because Dan and I we'll just share taste buds on this. We don't have to be there together.
No.
And we will likely employ other staff here too. We'll give them like a little checklist sheet of how to rate popcorn, and we'll get this all solved up in the next few weeks. But so we'll have Auburndale popcorn on Friday. We've already had the Marshfield girls basketball program on popcorn on Monday night, as it was.
Yeah.
So we'll have 2 of the popcorns tasted before we leave the gym in Auburndale on Friday.
I'm also going to have a hot dog when I'm in Auburndale.
So if we had a hot dog contest, Auburndale's probably going to win the hot dog contest.
It's tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's whatever they put in the juice in the crock pot with the hot dogs.
Could be.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
So popcorn bracket, if you have any recommendations, you've got 36 hours to get them in. Message any of the social media pages and tell us, come to our gym because our popcorn's really good. And then we'll go there.
And if you want to win this tournament, don't put it in pre-made bags and set it out. Even if you're replacing them, right? Because part of the experience is seeing your popcorn getting scooped into the bag and given to you.
Yeah, it was so good. So that Marshfield popcorn on Monday, the salt was like the exact amount of granules. There was a drizzle of the butter flavor, so there was some of the popcorn kernels had a little bit of liquid on them, and it was. I mean, you're as an 8 seed, you're a real contender in this tournament.
It's probably the only seed in the entire bracket.
It's all we know yet. It's all we know yet. Okay, that'll all get sorted out. And then Dan, okay, so I had 2 things. My other thing is professional sport. NFL football is my last thing. This is a rant, and it won't last very long.
I don't know what this is, but I'm looking forward to it.
So it's a few teams have this guy. The Packers had one. The Bears had one. I've seen the Bills have one. And it's the guy wearing the big head helmet. Get rid of it. It looks ridiculous. Now, people will say, well, yeah, but he's had a concussion history and it's safety. Well, then he shouldn't be playing. If your head hurts that much and you got to wear this big head with all these pads all the way around it, and you strap on this cotton elastic thing around it to match the logo on the helmet, but the colors don't match. It's not the same, especially if you got a shiny helmet and you got this cloth covering on it.
What if they all wore them, though?
No, then I'm out. Then the NFL and the NBA are the same to me at that point.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you have a head injury, don't play. You can't allow the big heads out there.
Yeah, and I mean, I know some players. There's a running back. I don't know if it was Saquon or somebody else was wearing one. He didn't have an injury. He just doesn't want to get his brain rattled inside his.
Well, then you got to retire.
But that's part of it.
You got to retire then.
And I don't know how safe it is because one of the Packers was wearing it.
Well, the Packer guy got another concussion on the playoff game, having the big head on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we've learned a lot about this, right? Junior Seau, before he ousted himself, he wrote a letter about his troubles with the CTE and the brain injuries, and he wrote a letter about it
before he died.
Yeah. By accounts, he drove himself off a cliff, right? Not to dwell on these things, but he couldn't stand it anymore, having the headaches and everything else. So if you begin having that, I know it's so much easier to say, I'm sure it is, but...
It's hard to leave millions on the table.
I know, but you got to stop
I haven't had
playing.
That decision.
You got to stop playing, you know. So I despise the big heads. The NFL is pulling me towards my lust for the NBA, which is in negative numbers, and I just hate to see it. I hate that it's going this way.
I think a part of it is that your team is just not very good. And I
had more time to dwell on the big heads this year.
I'm a Bears fan, and I am a fringe NFL fan at this point. Like the Bears got to do something for me to really be like, I love the NFL again.
Yeah. Well, you had a big head on your team. I don't know who he was, but you had one. And if I have one on my team, I will get down there right away and get that guy off the team.
Jerry Jones won't let him do it anyway.
I will get right down there.
And Deion Sanders, the new coach, or whoever it's going to be.
Dan Ross, last word.
Get your popcorn submissions in. Look at this trophy. It's been sitting here.
Yeah, here it is. Now let's tell people why it's sitting there.
And maybe we open this up to fans this year. Maybe.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
So last year we had a staff pick contest for high school girls and boys basketball.
Yeah, the postseason tournament.
Yeah, so instead of picking all the games, because who has time to pick like 600 games, we just picked who we thought would make it to state.
I think so. I think it's what we
And
did.
then who the champ was and who would be the runner-up. And you got points for each one. I won this last year.
You are the grand champion.
I am the defending champion, but look at how beautiful this trophy is.
It
It
is.
says Zaleski Sports High School Basketball Pick Champ.
It is encrusted with diamonds,
Yeah, it looks like it. At
or
least.
something like a diamond.
Yeah. So maybe you can have your name on this.
Okay.
And maybe we can interview them on our weekly show.
I mean, if you win.
Yeah.
There's no saying that somehow you're going to outpick us sports experts. But if you did.
It was tight last year. I remember it came down to
I wasn't in the running.
I remember it came down to like the D2 boys championship or something. Like it was tight. Yeah.
Yeah, upsets killed me last year. There were a couple upsets. But that's the case in any kind of bracket challenge, right? And, yeah. I have never won an NCAA college bracket. Never.
I win
win individual games like crazy, but I can't win the bracket.
Yeah, I watch more college basketball than anybody else I know, and I usually take last or close to last because I think about the potential of these teams because I've seen them play really well,
Yeah.
and then they just lose in the first round. It's like, ugh.
It's March Madness for a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason why in your office pools it is the secretary whose kid picks the bracket for him, or they pick on mascot or
Yeah.
whatever.
Or the
it
IT
is.
guy that doesn't watch a game
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
You know, it's usually that because you're better off, I guess, at random than
But-
knowing something.
But that's why it's awesome.
I still fill them out.
Yeah.
Still fill them out. Okay, so that is upcoming. Congratulations, Dan, on the reigning champion for now.
It has been sitting in my office in the background of my Zoom calls for a year.
It's a good place for
I
it.
figured it's time to bring it down.
Okay, good. Well, we're headed towards postseason. Like you said, a month until the first brackets of this basketball season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that'll do it. We're 20 minutes over time, but it was worth it because we haven't had a show in a while. So,
Not my fault.
yeah. Well, okay. Hey, look, invites were made.
Hey, I haven't been in Alabama and Florida.
Invites were made. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks
you
for
guys.
watching. Go Sports.